We open with blood in the sand, guns on the ground, as we see the Apostle Nest on fire. As we see dead apostles all around. As we zoom out to see even more dead apostles on the beach. Four and a half years ago, we see a deer walking around the woods. As we see someone with a gun walks up and shoots it. It's Lincoln, as Dave walks up behind him and says, "Damn, Mr. West, been months without war and you still got it." Lincoln says, "Yeah, they always come up river around this time." Dave says, "That why you're out here early?" "Shoot, man. Well, with Hayley and your kid almost being born." Born? Fucking Tom making me watch all this Canadian show shit. It sticks with you. Fuck, I can't even speak no more. Anyway, you may have to retire that gun of yours soon. Lincoln says, "Well, I am getting old. Hell, my back gives out every time I hit the damn couch at night." Dave says, "Oh, I hear you. Having a kid around the house will change a lot of things for me and for you." Lincoln says, "You?" Dave smiles and says, "I got her pregnant, man." Lincoln hugs him and says, "Oh man, that's great. Oh my lord. Damn, man, we're gonna be co-dads." "Damn, that sounds really fucking weird, but that's what we'll be." Dave says, "Yeah, I'm just glad we're able to be together in one safe place to raise our kids and keep them safe. It's taken a lot to get here, man. I just hope we can hang on to it for a little while longer." Lincoln says, "Well, do you think we can?" Dave says, "It's a world gone mad, brother. Anything can happen at any time." Lincoln says, "Yeah, you're right. I've been trying to block it out of my mind, but nah, you ain't wrong. Alright, how about this? We make a pact with each other that no matter what happens, if one of us ever goes down, we will take care of the other one's families. And we will get revenge for the other person that can't do so, no matter what." They shake hands, and Dave says, "That's a deal, my brother." As they stand there together, as they watch the sunrise. Now, we see the sky goes from light to dark, as we see Hayley in an apostle outfit, as she sees an old security camera, as she looks at herself through the reflection and says, "How did it come to this? Being an apostle to take down the apostles." We see Bishop writing stuff down on a map as he turns around to our group and says, "Well, what I have here is checkpoints around the nest. Places my men would stand guard 24/7 to assure no intruders were trying to break in." And now we're the intruders. I left James in charge of those lookouts back when I was running things, and I know he's going to be using them. So me, Sydney, and Miles will go around and take out each one. Mrs. West, He steps aside and Hayley says, "Luke, you got the guns ready?" Luke says, "All ready to go, boss lady." Hayley says, "All right. Ashley, Colin, I want you two at the west point. Once we push in, we'll get Colin on sniper. Ashley, you'll come with me." Ashley says, "Sounds good." Hayley says, "We can do this. We hit them with the explosives, Colin covers us, we push in. Do we understand?" Everyone says, "Yes, boss." Hayley says, "Let's go." Hayley goes into the back of the truck and opens the door as Ryan says, "Yeah, I found you a little something. I think this could help us." As we see her pull out an old RPG, as she loads it and looks nervous, as we see, Ryan says, "Oh, I also found this." He pulls the cover off of something and says, "I saw this parked out in front of your house. My men took it just in case you may have needed it." As we see, it's Lincoln's old bike, as Hayley says, "Thanks." As she gets on it and starts driving out, as everyone drives behind her, as she leads the pack forward. We see James walks out clean shaven with shorter hair. As we see, his son walks up to him and says, "Patrols are ready in place, Dad. So what's my job in all this?" James says, "Oh, just shut the fuck up and stop being such a fucking pussy. You have one job, making sure Billy is here protected at all times." Isaac says, "Of course." James starts walking away and Isaac says to his dad, "You know, I truly wish Mom lived to see all this. This part of me thinks this all would have been different. For better or for worse. I don't know. But it would be different." James says, Yeah, I think it would." He then splits off from his son as we see him walk up to an apostle and says, "Hey there, warrior. Is everything in place?" The apostle says, "Ready to go, sir. But I had a suggestion if you're willing to hear me out." James says, "What is it?" The apostle says, "Well, maybe with all the danger that we're in, maybe we should consider reaching out to Audrey, getting him to help us out." James says, "I'll never ask for help. And hell, Audrey ain't no help. We help each other in here, and that's it. Do you understand?" The apostle says, "Of course, Bishop." James walks away and says to himself, "Nothing like a brother's revenge." We see Hayley drives the motorcycle onto the beach and stops it, as we then see the nest in front of her. She pulls out her RPG and calmly walks up to them and says, "Hi, remember me?" We see three apostles on guard that says, "Stop right there, Mrs. West." The other guy says, "We need to report to James. Get him down here. Let him know that she's..." A rocket launcher fires and blows all of them up. We hear Colin radios Hayley as we hear, "Hayley, you're clear for entry. I repeat, you're clear for entry." We see Hayley, Ashley, and some of Ryan's people move in. Three miles out from the nest, we see two apostles as one is having a smoke, as we see a knife goes through his throat, as we see it's Ryan. Sydney stabs the other guy in the back and then stomps his head in. Ryan grabs the apostle and takes the smoke off of him as he takes a drag off of it, as Sydney looks at him with a side eye as he says, "What?" Miles kills two more apostles with his sword as he then walkies. The other checkpoints are down. Sydney picks it up, and as she says, "Yeah, we're good here too." Miles hears an explosion coming from the nest. So does Ryan and Sydney. As Sydney says, "It started. Time for us to push in." Ryan says, "Yep, and I have just the way for us to get exactly what we want." Sydney asks, "What? How?" Ryan says, "Well, darling, listen up. I may or may not have a man on the inside that will give us exactly what we came for." He smirks as Sydney looks confused. We see Hayley, Luke, Ashley, and 4 of Ryan's men pushing in as they walk through the dark cave. As we see Ashley shoots 2 apostles standing guard. Then Hayley asks, "So whereabouts in this place is James usually at?" Ashley says, "I'd assume he took Ryan's old office. If that's the case, it's far, but we can make it. We'll make it through the halls, make it through the rooms, and we'll get there." Hayley says, "Okay, this is what we do. Ashley and Luke, you go for James. Ashley will lead the way with Luke and the 2 of you. I'll take the other 2 of you with me. We'll find my son, get it done at once." Ashley says, "Okay, me and Luke will circle around. There's a second entrance that we can use. It's close." Luke says, "All right, let's go." As we then see them split off. Hayley and the 2 other men get into the elevator, as we then see them going down, as they all put their apostle masks on. As we see, one of Ryan's men is shaking a bit, showing that he is afraid of fighting. As Hayley looks back at them and says, "It's okay." We see the elevator opens as they walk in very casually, as 8 more apostles go up to them. And an apostle says, "You're coming with us, warriors. We're under attack, and we need all hands on deck, per James's orders." Hayley and the other 2 men turn around, and they light them up, as Hayley says, "Down this hall, go." Ashley, Luke, and the other 2 men go around the nest onto the other side, as Luke stands in front of the door and says, "I'm gonna blow this sucker clean off." He pulls out a grenade and says, "Everyone get back!" He pulls it. The door gets blown off, as Ashley says, "All right, follow me." They all push in, as we see an apostle says, "What the hell?" They light up a few of them as Ashley stands over one who is still alive and shoots him over and over again and says, "Where's my brother? Where are you keeping the kids?" The apostle says, "You think I'd tell you after all that you just did? The snake herself, huh?" "You know, I've wanted to ask. How's that trigger finger of yours, huh?" She shoots him in the gut and says, "Yeah, still hurts. Despite all that, though, I still have a trigger finger, motherfucker. Now, where the fuck is my brother?" He laughs and says, "I don't know. He's anywhere and everywhere. But those kids are in the green room, all right? Fuck. But I do wish you luck getting down there because you may not get very..." She shoots him, and Luke says, "Fuck James. We go for the green room. The kid's out first, then we'll take care of him." Ashley says, "Okay." She radios Hayley and says, "Hayley, we're in. The kids are in the green room. Meet us there." We see Hayley and her guys going down the hall, as we see over 10 men are standing at the end of the hall, as one of them says, "Hands! We saw you kill apostles back there. This is over." Another apostle says, "Oh, James is sure gonna like this one." Hayley and the men drop their weapons, as we see the rocket launcher is strapped behind her, as she quickly pulls out the rocket launcher, and the apostle says, "Oh fuck, this chick has a rocket launcher, what the fuck?" They try to run, as she then fires and lights all of them up. Isaac hears an explosion from inside, as he looks worried and goes up the stairs to his dad's place, as he's yelling, "Billy! Billy!" Billy says, Hey, what's going on?" Isaac says, "We're under attack. We gotta get you out of here, come on." Billy says, "But my uncle, he said that I shouldn't leave here." Isaac says, "It doesn't matter what my dad thinks. It doesn't matter what I think, all right? We're gonna do what my mom would have wanted me to do, which is save your life." Billy says, "What?" As we see Isaac says, "Not give a fuck what my father says." As he then gives Billy Lincoln's old machete, as he says, "We found this in storage when we were taking stuff from your group. I heard it came from your house. Should be brought back to its rightful owner, especially his son." As he and Billy then leave the apartment together. We see Hayley going through the halls, as 2 apostles come around the corner and light them up, as Hayley gets shot in the arm, as we see the other 2 men by her side get killed and go down, as Hayley then drops the rocket launcher, as one pistol whips Hayley to the ground, and one of them says, James told us about the widow, but using one of our masks to blend in? Damn! This chick is something else, fellas. He looks at the neon mask on the ground and says, "That's Tim's," the other guy says. "Let's eliminate her right away." The other guy says, "Whoa, wait. But what about if James wants to kill?" The other guy says, "Ah, shit, man. Yeah, you're right. Okay, how about we..." They get shot down as we see Ashley and Luke, as Luke says, "Here, take my hand," Hayley says. "Well, I'm glad I told you to meet me," Luke says. "Where's Felix? Sam?" Hayley turns around. As we see, they're dead. Ashley says, "Well, let's focus on who we can save. Let's go. Let's go get your boy." We see Ryan, Sydney, and Miles walking through the sand as we see dead apostles at the entryway. As Ryan says, "Well, I see they let themselves in already." "I'm sorry, Xavier." Sydney says, "Who's Xavier?" Ryan says, "The nicest man I've ever known." Miles says, "Well, the entrance is already blown open," so Sydney says, "Well, let's hope the rest of this is just a piece of cake." As they move in, as we see, it's fully dark out. Flashback. We see Sydney on guard at Kingstonville as she shoots two deadheads with her rifle and she says, "Piece of cake." Lincoln then climbs up and says, "Nice shot. You know, don't tell Kesey this, but I think you're my favorite shot of the group." Sydney says, "Is that why you got me on night duty all the time?" Lincoln says, "Well, unless someone tries anything funny, yeah. We got kids in here to protect. Pretty soon my own." Sydney says, "I get it. For a while I was convinced that maybe it was just me and Emma against the world, and that was good enough for me. But I never realized how boring it would be after a while, so..." Lincoln laughs and says, "Yeah, I mean, for 10 months I used to just count sheep." Sydney says, "Oh, fall asleep?" Lincoln says, "No, I mean, literally count sheep. I stayed at an old farm for about 2 to 3 weeks and just tried to survive out on my own there, but later I realized there ain't no life there." Sydney says, "Sounds like it sucked." Lincoln says, "Yeah, it kind of did. But you know, my brother always said something to me growing up, and it always stuck with me. You're not defined by your past. You're just prepared for it. And because of our past, we're prepared for it." He taps her on the shoulder as we hear, "Holster your tits, Lincoln! I repeat, holster your tits, brother!" Lincoln looks down at Tom running up and says, What the hell is it?" Did Bruce piss on your floor again?" "Man, I told you to build your own bar if it's getting that bad." Tom says, "No, buddy, it's not that. Hayley is in labor." Lincoln says, "Wait, what?" Tom says, "Yeah, me and Kezia just rushed her to the Kingstonville hospital. Come on, let's get a move on there, outlaw boy." Lincoln and Sydney rush down as they run down the street in joy. Lincoln, Tom, and Sydney run into the Kingstonville hospital as we see Kezia, as Lincoln says, "Where is she? Is she okay?" Kezia says, "She's fine. She's brought into room 3. Come with me." They all walk down the hall, as Tom hangs back a sec, as the nurse is distracted, as he then sees the opportunity and steals a lollipop. We see them walk into the room as Lincoln goes up to Hayley and says, Hey, are you okay?" Hayley says, "I'm fine." "Shit, looks like the baby shower was maybe a day too late." Lincoln says, "Well, I'm here, alright?" Tom says, "Me too." The nurse says, "Well, it'll be a little bit, okay? Just rest and relax. I'll be back to check on you soon, okay?" Hayley says, "Okay, thank you." Tom says, "Well, have you guys considered what to name the little guy yet?" Hayley says, "I have no idea. I've been trying to think of something that just, I don't know, maybe a name that means something, you know, to all of us. I want something that stands out. Almost like a reminder of why we're here, you know?" Tom says, "Well, I know why I'm here. It's because of Billy. Billy kept me going, so..." He looks at them, and Lincoln says, "Billy." Hayley says, "Billy West." Tom says, "Oh, now that sounds like someone you don't want to mess with." Now, we see guards standing next to a bunch of kids as we see the apostles have all the Kingstonville kids held in this room as we see a bunch of weed plants all around, as we see Hayley stealth kills one of them, as Luke comes up behind another and stabs them in the neck, as we see two other apostles standing guard with the kids by their side, as we see Hayley slits both of their throats, as Hayley and the others look at all the children covered in blood, as we see they all group hug Hayley, Luke, and the others. As Hayley then looks worried as she says, "Where is he? Where's Billy?" Natalie says, "The last time I heard he was at James's place." Hayley looks super worried now as she says, "Ashley, Luke, get the kids out of here now. I'll cover you, but you gotta get out of here." Ashley says, "Okay, understood, but listen, Hayley. Hayley has a tear running down her face as Ashley holds her hand and says, "Go get him, okay? But be careful." They split off as Luke says to Hayley, "Hayley, please, for all our sake, don't fucking die." Hayley says, "You too. Stay safe." She goes to find Billy as Ashley and Luke and the two other men take the kids. But then we see another apostle comes out behind the corner with his gun out as Luke says, "Step away from the kids." The apostle makes it a point to put his gun down and he takes his mask off and Ashley says, "Larson?" He says, "Look, James gave me a duty. He assigned me to watch these kids during this, but I brought them here on purpose. James didn't know I was bringing them here. This green room is 3 rooms away from the sewer latch." He looks at Ashley and Luke and says, "And thanks to you two, it's clear after you both broke out." Ashley says, "What are you saying?" He picks up a walkie and says, "I've been a man on the inside for Bishop. James has lost it. And I don't agree with his rules. I never did. I know there's others that felt the same, but they're too scared, they're too terrified to even admit to it, so they just go along with it. But I agreed. I always agreed with Bishop, and I backed him then, and I back him now." We hear Ryan on the other end checking in and says, "Hey, you round up those little fuckers?" Larson says, "I got them all, but we're missing the widow's boy." Ashley and Luke can tell that he's serious as they lower their guns, hearing this, as Bishop says, "Don't worry about this. I'm pushing in now with some of the widow's people. We'll get them out, all right? But for now, get the others out now and away from James as soon as humanly possible." Larson says, "Copy that, boss." Luke says, "Okay. All right, let's go." We see Tegan with 2 other of Ryan's men as they walk in and go up the stairs. As they bust the door down, as James turns around to see them enter, we see James throws a knife and kills one of them. The blood goes all over Tegan's face. The other guy runs after James. Tegan then starts getting shot at by more apostles as she splits off and runs for cover. The other guy then runs towards James as they then throw punches back and forth at each other. James then picks him up and throws him into the spinning fan as we see James then lets this guy spin around as his blood goes all across the room and kills him. James then stands there afterwards covered in blood and says, "Spin like a fairy, you fairy fucker." We see Hayley running through the halls as apostles run out as she shoots every single one of them, as she kills and kills, as she reloads again and says, "Where are you, son? Where the fuck are you?" Flashback. We see Hayley giving birth to her son, as we see Lincoln with her, as she says, "Where are you, son? Where are you?" Lincoln says, come on, you can do this, just a few more pushes." She then pushes him out completely, as we see the nurse says, "Here he is." Tom says, "Yes! Baby is a success! Woo! Whoa, that's a lot of blood there, sister. Oh, congrats, Lincoln, big buddy." Lincoln says, "Thanks, buddy." We hear Billy crying as we see Tom says, "There's Billy boy, in the flesh." Hayley smiles as we see her hold Billy in her arms for the very first time. Now, we see Hayley shoots one more apostle as she turns the corner, as we see Isaac standing down the hall with Billy by his side. As Hayley aims her gun towards Isaac as she says, "Step away from my son." Isaac says to Billy, "Stay back." Billy says, "Mom?" Isaac walks closer to Hayley as she says, "Please, Isaac, I know you're better than this. I know you don't want this, and you know why I'm here. Please, don't make this hard for me." Isaac lowers his gun as he sees how scared Billy looks and says, "I'm sorry, Aunt Hayley. It's nice to see you actually care about your son. My mom used to do that, and now she's gone." Hayley actually holsters her weapon in return and starts walking up to him and says, "Hey, Isaac, I'm not gonna hurt you." Isaac says, "Why wouldn't you? I attacked your home. I killed your people on my dad's orders." Hayley says, "You're just a kid. How'd you lose the eye? The battle that your dad forced you into doing, right? You've tried your best to please your dad over and over again. I'm sorry, kid, but you can't please a psychopath. When I look at you, I don't see a threat. I see someone who saved my son from being killed. You care, and I know you do, and I'm not gonna gun down a kid. And frankly, I'm tired of seeing more West family members dying because of this war, so please." Isaac starts crying as he says, "I'm so fucking tired. I'm tired of war. I'm tired of being scared." Hayley says, "I am too. But it doesn't have to be like this. You can come with us, you know. You can. No matter what your father says, you are worth so much more than this life." Isaac says, I just don't know how." Hayley says, "I do." She puts her hand out and says, "Take my hand. We can get out of..." We see a machete goes right through the back of his head as blood splatters on Hayley's hand. As we see, Billy stands there with his dad's machete in hand as he says, "That's my fucking mother, and you will not hurt her." Flashback as we see Hayley holding Billy on his first day. Now, as she stands in front of her son, as she looks horrified as he asks, "Are you proud of me?" Hayley says, "If necessary or not. Don't ever be proud of killing, son." As she hugs her son and says, "We're getting out of here right now." We see Ashley, Luke, Larson, and the two men with the rest of the kids running down the hall as we see over 10 apostles open fire against them as they run as fast as they can. As Ashley says, "There, the sewer latch." They start bringing the kids inside to get them to safety. Meanwhile, Luke sees them coming and fires a few shots back at them. He then says, "Go, I'll give you as much cover as I can." He fires more shots towards them as he sees even more apostles are coming down the other hall. As he sees, he doesn't have many bullets left. As Luke looks behind him and sees all the scared kids, as he loads his final bullets, as he says, "Go, get the kids down there. I'll hold them off." Ashley says, "No, Luke, you can't. Please, there's too many of them. They'll kill you." Luke holds her hand as he says, "You did this for me. Now I'm gonna do the same for you. We don't have time to argue. I will not let innocent people die. Not anymore. That is not the work of this soldier." Luke lets go of Ashley as he runs towards the group of apostles down the hall, as he yells out, as Ashley tries to follow him, as Larson grabs onto her and holds her back as she is fighting back and says, "Let me go, let me go, please, let me help him." Luke then kills 2 apostles, but then the rest of the apostles stab him to death in front of them from far, as we see the tears going down Ashley's face, as we see Luke is on his knees, as he smiles at Ashley as she screams. Luke then gets stabbed to death as he goes down and as they end his life. Larson says, "We have to go." Ashley sees the kids getting into the sewer as they all get down there, as we see the apostles coming for them, as Ashley closes the latch and her and Larson get the kids to safety. We see Ryan, Sydney, and Miles walking through the nest as we see dead apostles all around, as Ryan says, "Unfucking believable." He turns to them and says, "Alright, I'll sweep the shithole. You guys go get the kids. The tunnels will lead them out north of the nest. I want you all there to get them out. And besides, I'll make sure to finish the place I started. And then this will be over." Sydney says, "Okay, let's go." They split off from Ryan as he just looks at the destroyed nest that he built and says, "How did we get here?" He sees that he doesn't have any bullets left as he pulls out his two swords and says, "Well, the old-fashioned way it is then." Hayley and Billy are running together as an apostle in front of them throws a grenade in front of them as Hayley and Billy scatter in different directions, as we see Hayley slowly getting up as she is coughing. Billy! Billy! We see James standing on the railing up above saying, "So my brother's wife really is the same. Driven by war and tries to take kids from their home." Hayley fires back up top, but the smoke is blocking their vision. As Hayley says, "Those are my children, every last one of them, because my husband led my people, and that's exactly what I'm doing." She fires back as she yells, "Billy!" James says, "Well, where is he?" "Oh, don't tell me you let another one of your immediate family die in front of you." "Wow. I guess. You're not who you say you are. You know, I was expecting a lot more from you. Hayley West, you were overhyped as hell." Hayley fires back as she runs away to find her son. We see Billy slowly walking through the halls as we see he's looking weak, as he stumbles through, as he overhears James saying, "We gotta get the hell out of here, gentlemen. This place is burning like hell." Billy grabs his father's machete off of the ground as he looks angry. As he doesn't try to find his mother, he tries to find his uncle. Flashback. We see Tom and Sydney walking the streets at night, as we see Tom holding little Billy in his arms, as he says, "They did good. He's just perfect." Sydney says, "He is. Although I must say, you've spent a lot more time with him than Hayley." Tom says, "Yeah, we should probably bring him back. Just look at those little fingers." Sydney says, "He's cute, yeah." Tom says, "Yup, and before you know it, he'll be a little liquor master." Sydney says, "Oh, I'm sure he'll be a master at something." Now, we see Ryan as we see 5 more apostles surround him as he says, "Wow, loyal to the end, huh? Cocksuckers." The main apostle says, "Well, congratulations. You killed everybody in here. You destroyed the home that you built." Ryan says, "I didn't build shit. I owe my apologies to Xavier. You sorry fucks on the other hand, not so fucking sorry." He kills 2 of them with his sword as we see him move fast and slashes one in the face as his face bleeds badly. His sword then goes through one of their mouths as Ryan kicks the last one to the ground as he stands over him and says, "Where's that son of a bitch?" "Where's James?" The apostle says, "He's gone. He left with 2 other apostles." "Look, Bishop, I didn't know what to do when you left. For what it's worth, I'm really fucking sorry to see what James did to you. Alright?" Ryan says, "It's alright. 1, I should have been a better bishop. And 2, James is not fucking going anywhere." He puts his last apostle down as he says, "Apostles, my wonderful apostles, May you all rest in peace. As he exits the nest, as he sees footprints, as he says, and after all that, he runs away from a house of 1,000 corpses. We see Hayley walking through the destroyed nest as she whispers, Billy, please, if you hear me, please come out. We see her turn the corner as we see the wall of the lost apostles. As Hayley looks at all these Polaroids, as she then sees, she looks up close to one of them. We see a Polaroid of Lincoln's remains. Hayley looks horrified and disgusted as we see James went back and took a picture of his dead brother and hung it up with the rest as Hayley looks at this picture and looks pissed as she sees she's out of bullets, as she pulls out her pickaxe and starts walking out of the nest looking for James. We see Ashley and Larson walking out of the sewers with the kids, as we see Ashley is covered in blood, as she looks emotionally exhausted. As Larson says, Ashley, there was nothing that you could have done. Luke made his choice. You can't go doubting yourself, alright? Not now. Ashley sees Colin, Rebecca, and Rose walking up to them, as Ashley says, I got the kids out. Rebecca aims a gun towards Larson and says, what the hell is he doing here? Ashley says, put the gun down. He's here with Ryan. He's here to help us. Rebecca says, well, where's Hayley? Luke. Ashley says, Luke's dead. Hayley, I don't know. Larson says, we gotta keep these kids away from the nest. Rose says, did you find Billy? Ashley looks at all of them and looks at the scared kids with blood on her hands and says, get them away from here. Get them back to the cars. I got something I gotta do on my own. As she splits off from the group and goes back in. We see dead bodies all over the beach, as we see the nest on fire, as we see James and only 2 remaining apostles running, as one of them says, we gotta find a safe place, sir. We gotta get the hell out of here now. The nest is totaled, the other apostle says. So are we? James looks pissed and says, it ain't fucking ending, because we'll rebuild and we'll restart. And we see a pickaxe goes through one of the apostles' throats, as we see Hayley. The apostle drops and Hayley stabs the other one as she stabs him repeatedly. As James looks angry and Hayley swings at him and he ducks. He hits her in the face as he then hits her again as she drops the pickaxe. James then hits her 2 more times as she falls. Hayley is down with a mouth full of blood as she says, You destroyed my family! Your family! And my fucking son's family. She stands up and says, it's just you and me now. It's just you and me. She hits him once and he gets knocked back a bit as she says, you left me in a world of shit. James smiles and hits her and says, yeah, come on. Hate me. Feel what I feel the day my brother took the love of my life away. Hayley says, and you took mine. Not because you wanted revenge. She hits him again and says, because you hate yourself, because you're a spoiled loser with a fucked up son, and your father never loved you. James screams out and punches her over and over again as she hits him back, as she sprains her fist very badly as she yells out. James takes her and punches her over and over again as he says, my father wasn't my father. Real parents care. Real parents care. Real parents fight to protect their fucking kids. Hayley spits out blood and says, and my son killed your son. I guess your brother's legacy lives after all. He buries her face in the sand as he puts his hand around her neck, as he then sees she's fighting for air. We see Ashley walks into the burning nest as she hears, "Mom?" Ashley says, "Billy?" Billy walks through the smoke as he sees Ashley as she says, "Hey, are you okay, kiddo? He didn't hurt you at all, did he?" Billy has his dad's bloody machete in his hands as she says, "Who was it?" Billy says, "Isaac. I killed him to protect my mom." Ashley says, "Okay, I'm glad you're okay. We gotta find the others, come on." James is strangling Hayley as he says, "Where's the fight? Where is the fucking fight I've been looking for, huh?" As we hear, "Right behind you, motherfucker." Ryan knocks James down as he helps Hayley up and says, "You with me, Mrs. West?" We see Hayley's badly hurt as James starts running away as Hayley spits up blood and says, "Kill him, kill him." Ryan says, "You got it, boss lady." Ryan takes his two swords and runs after him. Ryan tackles James to the ground as he says, "You are done. You are nothing but a brother-killing, child-harming, sociopathic, and psychopathic child man who had to take someone else's group because he didn't know how to fucking make his own. You know, when we first met, you thought I was there to rob you? That I was there to take everything from your camp? Well, you know what? The Ryan back then took your bullshit because it wasn't my place to question hospitality in an apocalyptic world like this one. But the Ryan now? I would have buried you 6 feet under and pissed on your fucking grave, you son of a bitch. But, you think it's this easy? No. I'm giving you one more chance to show me that you're better than me. Like you always claim you were. So, come on then, Bishop. Show me what you really got." He passes him one of his swords as James laughs and says, Oh, you just sealed your fucking fate, Ryan." Ryan says, "Well, then let's find out then, good sir." They swing back and forth at each other as Bishop knocks James in the mouth with his arm. As we see, he busted his nose. As we then see, they fight across the ocean. As Hayley is still trying to get up, we see her hand is messed up and her face is all busted up. As we see, Ryan says to James, "You're a little slower than usual. I know Lincoln would have kicked the ever-loving shit out of you. Maybe that's why your bitch-ass killed him, now that I think about it. You were scared of what he'd do to you, because you knew he was stronger than you. When I told you to take him out, I thought you'd hold back. When you didn't, that's when I knew what kind of a coward you were." James says, "Then why am I still fucking standing, huh?" Ryan says, "Because liars get far in this world. Until they tell the wrong lie. And for your information, I killed the wrong fucking brother." He stabs James in the chest. James drops the sword in the sand as the real Bishop stands over him as he says, "The Lord's work of a bishop isn't meant for a fucking pussy." He takes the sword out as blood is coming out of James's mouth, as he can see him suffering, as Bishop says, "Not that easy, motherfucker." Hayley walks up to this and says, "He was your henchman. Finish him." Bishop says, "By your orders, Mrs. West." Bishop looks at James and takes him by the collar as we see the trail of blood coming from James as Ryan drags him into the water and puts his face underwater as he tries to suffocate him to death, as he holds him down and says, "For Xavier, for the nest, for the apostles, for Ashley, for Hayley, and for her people, and for Isaac, and most importantly, for the brother you influenced me to kill." Ashley walks out with Billy as Billy runs to Hayley and says, "Mom?" She hugs him and says, "Are you okay?" Billy says, "I am, because Daddy was guiding my way." Ashley sees Ryan with James and walks over, and Ryan sees her and lets go of James and steps aside as Ashley pulls James out of the water to see his eyes are barely still open. As Ashley looks at her brother dead in the eyes and says, "Close your eyes, brother." She stabs James in the head, ending his life. As we zoom out to what's left of Lincoln's family, standing on the beach as we see the sun coming up. One hour later, we see everyone at the cars at the top of the hill, as Ryan just sees the nest smoke from far and says, "What a damn shame." Amelia walks up to him and says, "Are you okay?" Ryan smiles and kisses her and says, "Yeah, I'm better than okay. You know, for the first time in my life, I actually feel like I'm seeing what's possible. No matter how bleak it may get, it'll be different. A fresh start." Amelia says, "Is that what you want?" Ryan says, "It is." Amelia crosses her arms with a smile on her face and says, "Well, where would we go?" Ryan says, "Well, you ever been to Hawaii?" We see Sydney sitting next to Rose in the back of the truck as she says, "You did good." Rose says, "You all look like shit." Sydney says, "Hey, language there, child." She looks at her and smiles, but then she sees how sad Ashley looks as she's just sitting on a rock by herself. As Sydney and Miles walk up to her, and Miles says, "How did it happen?" Ashley is crying and says, "We were getting the kids out. The apostles chased us all the way through this place. And when we were leaving, he ran to stop them, to buy us time to save the kids. And me." Miles looks upset and says, "Well, that's what he'll be remembered for. A true American soldier till the end." Miles hugs Ashley as Sydney says, "I'm so sorry. He was one of my greatest friends. One of the greatest friends I ever had. People just keep dying lately." We see Hayley packing up a car with supplies as Ryan walks up to her and says, "So do you know what's next?" Hayley says, "I made a promise." Ryan looks put off and says, "Well, I can't say I don't deserve." Hayley stops him and says, "I meant what I said on the bridge. I'm tired of killing. I'm tired of being the one on a warpath. And you have a wife. And my son has seen enough killing for one day." Ryan says, "What are you saying here?" Hayley says, "This car is for you. You'll have a week's worth of supplies. You'll have to manage from there, but take Amelia and whoever else you want to, your men if you want, and leave. Don't ever come back here again. Because trust me when I say there's people here that want to kill you." Ryan says, "I thank you. I honestly would have understood if you just killed me, and I would have deserved it." Hayley says, "Good luck." She walks away, and Ryan says, Mrs. West?" She turns around, and he says, "You know, for what it's worth, I'm not sure if this'll do a lot for me here, but hell, it may not even mean anything. But I gotta tell you, I'm truly sorry for what I did to..." Ryan gets shot in the throat as he falls. Hayley and the group all get back in fear as Hayley looks up to see Dave and Matthew walking up to them. As Dave stands there with a cigarette in his mouth, as he watches Ryan on the ground bleeding out, as Hayley looks nervous, and Dave says, "So, are we making deals now, Hayley?" Hayley looks stunned as Amelia says, You fucking monster!" Dave smiles as Amelia draws her gun. She gets shot in the head as we see Matthew shot her dead. Ryan is lying on the ground, choking on his own blood as he's trying to yell, Amelia! Dave says, Now that is for the outlaw, motherfucker." He shoots him and says, "What do you know? Reunited like Bonnie and Clyde." "Huh." Hayley says, "What did you do?" Dave says, "I took care of a problem. Now listen to me, you fucking snowflakes." We see Rose doesn't run to her daddy. She stays by Sydney's side as he says, It appears like you all have forgotten, so let me clue you in. We live in a world gone mad where we live in a wasteland world that has one rule. This is survival of the fucking fittest. And only the strong survive. And that means getting rid of little road rats like these ones. You want to hang on to your humanity? You'll die. You want to accept the blood we endure? Then maybe you'll get a chance to live. So if you think anyone around here is innocent, then you've been drinking the fucking Kool-Aid. Let me remind you of the outlaw that built all this for us. And who's the one that took it from us? That's why I did this today. Because of him. And let me clue you in on what's next. Starvation at its highest. Worse people. And then a bleak fucking ending for all of us. And that right there is what Bishop did for us. As everyone stands there looking shocked. We see blood in the sand, guns on the ground, as we see the Apostle Nest on fire. As we see dead apostles all around, as we zoom out to see even more apostles on the beach. As we see, someone sees this in front of them. As we see, it's Audrin. As he stands there in shock and says, "What the fuck?"